Hey there, gardeners. Gabby here from Gabby's Garden, and I would like to welcome you to episode number 1 of my new segment, Creature Feature. It's only fitting that the first creature I encountered in the early spring is the first to be featured on this new segment, the carpenter bee. I found one making her nest on the underside of our picnic table on our back porch, and it was the perfect opportunity to observe her closely while at work. Anatomy-wise, all bees are pretty much the same. They have a head with antennae, eyes, mandibles, and a long straw-like tongue called a proboscis. They have a center body part called a thorax, which is where their legs and wings are attached to the body, and a proportionally larger back part called the abdomen. This is where the stinger is. These large bees are commonly confused with bumblebees, so let's start with the differences. Bumblebees have hairy or fuzzy abdomens that are usually striped with black and yellow, and sometimes white or reddish orange. Carpenter bees are usually a bit larger and have hairless, shiny black abdomens. They also differ in their nesting habits. Bumblebees colonize in holes underground, such as empty rodent burrows or even hollowed out plant stems. The nesting habits of carpenter bees is what gives them their name. Females use their strong mandibles to chew a hole and tunnel into wood, usually trunks and limbs of standing dead trees, but they are also known to bore into fence posts and structural timber, which unfortunately is the cause of many people considering them a nuisance and a pest to be exterminated. Although their large size may make them seem scary, they are not aggressive in nature.
Nope, too close. Personal space.
Too close for comfort. The male carpenter bee cannot even sting, as he physically doesn't have a stinger. The female is capable of stinging, but like honeybees, she can only inject her stinger once and then she dies. Therefore, it's very unlikely she will use it, unless she considers herself in extreme danger and needs to use her last line of defense. More commonly, a carpenter bee may dart and dive back and forth to appear intimidating in an attempt to scare you off if you get too close to their nest for comfort, that is. Okay. I don't have any lunch money. Since this one decided to make her home on my back porch, I wanted to show her I wouldn't back off, and we would need to learn to coexist peacefully since my family and I spend a lot of time out there. I even tested my limits and gave her thorax and abdomen some pets as she was working. She mostly tolerated it, but did give me a buzz to warn that she didn't particularly love it. Shit. Male carpenter bees can live up to 1 year, and females can live up to 3 years. Males are easy to identify because they have distinctive white facial markings. Cam and I noticed this for the first time in early spring when we were just chilling in the garden admiring the first pollinators of the year. Check out this footage of our very first carpenter bee friend. Oh yeah. Oh.
What?
It flew right up to the camera.
Like, hey guys, what's up?
What's this bee's name? Oh.
Jimmy.
You naming it after Mr. Beast?
No, that's too scary. The name Jimmy is for scary people.
What? Mr. Beast is not scary.
Mr. Beast is just funny. So funny. I think Jonathan.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Beast. We almost named our bee after you, but not quite this time. We do still love your channel, though. Like many bee species, the male will die after he is mated. He served his purpose, I guess? Interestingly, the female can store the sperm after mating until her nest is finished being constructed and she is ready to lay her eggs. The entrance hole into her nest is perfectly round. Once she has tunneled in a short distance, the bee will then make a turn and tunnel parallel to the wood surface. Once she's excavated her entire nest cavity, she will work back to front, building individual cells for her eggs. In each cell, the bee forms a little loaf of pollen and nectar that she lays one egg on. This will be the larva's source of food during their early life stages. Once the female lays the egg, she seals the tunnel off by forming a partition wall made from her saliva and sawdust. Think of it like particle board. She follows this process repeatedly, working her way towards the entrance. Carpenter bees typically lay 5 to 8 eggs in their nest, and in roughly 7 weeks, the young adult bees will emerge from their nest ready to face the outside world. Carpenter bees are early morning foragers and visit a wide variety of flowering plants. At least, that's what my internet research indicated, but as you can see, they are definitely active in the hottest part of the day when almost all the other bees are taking a break from the sun. This was at 2 p.m. and it was in the mid-90s outside. They didn't seem to be bothered by the heat at all. In many cases, carpenter bees will land on flower blossoms and use their powerful thoracic muscles to sonicate dry pollen grains from the flower's anthers. This is known as buzz pollination. If you're a longtime subscriber, you may remember me briefly mentioning it in a certain video in regards to tomato pollination. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below. Carpenter bees are solitary and do not live in organized communal colonies like honeybees and bumblebees. From what I've observed in my garden, honeybees and bumblebees are perfectly fine pollinating the same flowers and being right next to each other, but carpenter bees are a totally different story. If another bee approaches while a carpenter bee is on a flower, it will angrily fly off, seeming to strongly value its personal space. However, recent research has shown that carpenter bees sometimes live cooperatively in small related social groups, especially if the availability of nesting sites and material are limited. This can be quite advantageous for the younger bees because constructing an entirely new nest from scratch is time-consuming and contributes to the wear and tear on their bodies that ultimately shortens their lifespan. In the case of these small, loosely knit groups, when the primary queen passes, one of the younger subordinate queens will inherit the already constructed nest, so that she can expand upon it if she wishes and rear her young in it. This stuff just amazes me. Circling back to the damage that these carpenter bees can cause in your wooden structures, you may be wondering, how can I appreciate these gentle giants and also stop them from making their home in or around mine without being a horrible jerk that uses poison pesticides or traps that will suffocate and kill them? Yeah, I know that was a lot. I'm sorry. It's just that in all of my research about these buzzing cuties, even on educational articles, it always ended with ways that you can kill them. Here at Gabby's Garden, we are not about that. You might be thinking, why is Gabby so passionate about these pests? Well, my friend, the simple fact is, I don't see them as pests, and neither should you. Carpenter bees are beneficial insects that pollinate up to 15% of our agricultural crops. I prefer taking a more peaceful and preventative approach. That way you aren't messing with generations of local native pollinators. From everything I could find online about prevention, the problem is untreated wood. It is the perfect and most appealing potential home to carpenter bees. It's dead enough to chew into, but not so rotten and decayed that it just crumbles apart. Apparently, carpenter bees do not like painted wood and will very rarely attempt to chew through paint to make their nests. Therefore, painting wooden surfaces is honestly one of the best prevention methods you can take. Staining wood is not nearly as effective, as it may deter some carpenter bees while others simply won't mind it. I also read about covering your wooden surfaces with metal fascia board. Obviously, the bees can't chew through any type of metal or vinyl or anything like that. And if you just love the look of natural wood, another effective method is to apply an annual springtime application of almond oil over your wooden surfaces. If there's already a nest in one of your wooden structures, the reality is carpenter bees have already made that their home now. Carpenter bees will likely return to the nest they were born in to hibernate during cold winter months. At this point, prevention isn't really an option, and most websites I came across had detailed descriptions of how to seal them in the holes with pesticides so they cannot reemerge in the spring. I know, right? If necessary to replace part of a wooden structure due to carpenter bee damage, an especially peaceful approach to the issue would be to relocate the nested in piece of wood out somewhere in your backyard, as well as providing other alternative nesting options away from your home, such as untreated pine or cedar blocks. Plus, you'll be one of the great human beings establishing a native bee habitat on your property instead of working against nature. If you just take the time to observe and get to know carpenter bees, you'll realize that they really don't have to be as much of a nuisance as they're made out to be. Ba-dum-tsh. Listen, y'all, I'm a millennial and I grew up absolutely loving Pokemon, so this is the perfect opportunity for me to add a little bit of nostalgia into my videos. Who's that creature? Don't forget to let me know your guesses down in the comments below for next episode's creature feature. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm no entomologist, but hopefully this was educational and helped bring awareness to one of our beneficial insects. If there's anything I missed, please let me know down in the comments below. I'm definitely an amateur and we're all pretty much learning this together. Give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel, and if you aren't already, hit that subscribe button for more content like this. I hope you have an awesome day. And as always, happy gardening. I'll see you on the next video.